Predators, Canadians. Live coverage begins tonight at 6:30, 5:30 Central on Bally Sports South and the Bally Sports app.
A brisk Saturday afternoon in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, as Mac Brown and the Tar Heels honor their seniors and graduate students, 21 of them, and also a record breaker as well in Sam Howell. This presentation of ACC College Football is presented by your local Ford dealer. First ever meeting between the Wofford Terriers and the North Carolina Tar Heels. It is so great to have you with us for our game this afternoon. Tom Wormy along with James Bates, Rebecca Fiorentina will join us from the sidelines in just a moment. Important game for both teams. Wofford finishes the regular season, last home game of the year for North Carolina.
For Wofford, their slogan this year was be the one. They want to make it win number 2 on the year. For North Carolina, it's senior day, and that means something. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. Yeah, Sam Howell won't go today, but you know what? They're going to have a chance to go out there and compete as seniors and get some young guys mixed in there as well. And as Mac Brown said, even though we were probably overranked at the beginning of the year, we have a chance to finish this year with 8 wins, and that's pretty big.
Yeah, and go to a bowl game for the 3rd straight year, potentially for North Carolina. Told you about Sam Howell. James, 90 career TD passes. Won't be able to add to it today. Upper body injury.
Upper body injury probably could go if this were the NC State game, but they're going to hold him out and wait. Friday night is the big rivalry game. Keep him fresh. You have him ready to go. It will be a first-round draft pick, so probably a smart choice for the junior. But selfishly, I hate to see him not going today. But that sets up a pretty fun one, though, here at Keenan Memorial Stadium as we go to our Hardy Stars to watch. Drake May on the left, Jacoby Griswell on the right. Griswell will start, the sophomore. He's played in 3 games this year. Drake May in 2. Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator, looking to get each of them in a little bit of a rhythm. Ty Chandler running that football. But my favorite line of all from Mac Brown, of course, when he went up to his young quarterbacks and he said, hey, Sam Howell, as a true freshman, beat South Carolina and Charlotte. He beat Miami that year, too. If you are what you say you are, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. All right, for more on the opponent today, the Wofford Terriers out of the Southern Conference, we check in with Rebecca Fiorentino on the sidelines.
Thanks so much, Tom. Yeah, Wofford's season hasn't gone quite the way it expected to go. A 1-9 record doesn't tell the whole story of the adversity that this team has gone through. They were hit hard by the injury bug. It all started in the spring, and up until today's game, they have 23 players listed on the season-ending injury list. Because of that, they've had to use 4 different guys at the quarterback position. Today, senior Peyton Derrick gets the start and will play in his final collegiate game. He told me this week there's still a lot of fight in this team. They're going to go out, have fun, and compete for their seniors.
Hey, Rebecca, we look forward to your reports all afternoon long. The head coach is Josh Conklin for the Wofford Terriers. 4th season for him. They were conference champs in his first 2 years. And across the way, it's the Hall of Famer, Mac Brown. An amazing career. His 3rd year for his 2nd stint as the head coach of the Tar Heels. 2nd most wins among active coaches. 89 wins at North Carolina. That's a school record. And trying to become bowl eligible with a victory this afternoon in the first ever meeting with the Wofford Terriers. The campus is only separated by about 200 miles, and this is their first ever meeting. Wofford won the toss, elected to defer. Here comes Carolina with the return. Conley. Conley shaken up on the return. So Jaquarius Conley, who was a starter in the defensive backfield for the Tar Heels, shaken up in the initial return of the ball game. So the training and medical staff checking on Conley, and we'll update his status in just a moment. We'll step aside for the second comeback to Chapel Hill, North Carolina for ACC football. So good news there back in Chapel Hill. Conley on the return for North Carolina, injured on the play and being helped off the field. Here's a look at the play.
Gosh, that's tough. That's Conley, the starting safety, and Jackson Zaire with the hustle getting out there on special teams. So Conley to the tent, and here's our first look at Jacoby Criswell.
6 feet, 225 pounds. And again, Sam Howell with the upper body injury. Took a couple of big hits last Thursday in that loss to Pitt in the rainy conditions for the Tar Heels, 30-23, and that was in overtime. That's some really close calls this season for North Carolina. This is Walston, one of the seniors and grad students honored prior to the game. He's got a first down with 12 yards on the play to Walston. Here's our Impact Players, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers.
Good blocking out there. Antoine Green, the senior from Rockledge, Florida, playing with so much confidence right now for this offense. He'll be big for these young quarterbacks. And how about that? Tucking it and going a little bit. And Noor, the safety for Wofford's going to be big today, Tom. Got to keep the lid on it. Can't give up the big plays.
Criswell with that nice little fake, James, and the opportunity to run up near the North Carolina logo. Now he wants to throw it.
Chandler, good job leading the way with the block.
Chandler caught the pass. Emanwari had the tackle. 8 yards on the play for North Carolina, coming into the game at 5-5 and 3-4 in conference play. 3-1 at home this season. That's Chandler. He's got the first down near the 40-yard line for North Carolina, and 6 yards for Chandler.
Longo's got that tempo going for his young quarterback. Criswell, remember, we had that Georgia State game, Tom, beginning of the year, and he got a little bit of action late in that game. Went 2 for 2, 54 yards, threw that 47-yard touchdown pass to Nesbitt.
Criswell, low pass, but caught near the 35-yard line. Antoine Green, and driven back. First down markers at the 30 of Wofford. Beckley had the hit on Green, the senior from Rockledge, Florida.
There's Phil Longo. Good talk with him on the Zoom yesterday. Talked about his young quarterbacks. This will be an interesting competition in the spring between Drake May and Jacoby Criswell.
Chandler barrels his way up the middle, just inside the 35-yard line for 5 yards for Chandler. What an addition he's been this season, James, as a transfer from Tennessee.
Yeah, former Tennessee Vol, led the Vols in rushing as a sophomore. Now the graduate here at UNC, very close to 1,000 yards, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't run past 1,000 today. Over 3,000 it would be then for his career.
He's got room on the right side. Broke a couple of tackles, and down near the 21-yard line for Chandler. That's a first down for North Carolina. DiRoberto made the tackle, 13 yards.
And with the giddy up right back over the ball, Mac Brown looking on as Criswell has done a good job of running him down the field. Quick pitch getting outside here to Chandler.
This is Chandler. Just runs over the defender, DiRoberto, inside the 10-yard line.
Nice little play call. You got misdirection on the inside. You see the big bodies, so you're pulling those linebackers that are keying through the offensive line on those running backs. You got to respect that movement, so it causes them to freeze and gives them a chance to get outside, like the play call.
North Carolina in the CPI security red zone to the right side, and Chandler just tripped up at the 1. He got 7. During this drive, he has gone over 3,000 yards rushing in his career, James, which includes his accomplishments at Tennessee as well.
Jordan Tucker doing a good job there on the edge, and a nice job knifing in there. DiRoberto, who's been very active for Wofford here early, saving the touchdown.
From the 1-yard line for North Carolina on its opening possession, Jacoby Criswell. Making an adjustment. Informs his teammates. He's still got the football. He dives to the goal line and in. Criswell with the touchdown from a yard out. North Carolina in the end zone. First rushing TD of the season for Criswell. Atkins for the extra point. Tar Heels, James, march it right down the field and take a 7-0 lead.
Former Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year in high school. Had a big drive. Run early on the drive. At the end of the drive, he'll put it in the paint. Quick 7.
When you walk in the door with the new triple bacon pizza from Papa John's.
Out in North Carolina has the 7-0 lead. 10 plays and 82 yards, and 4 of those plays during the drive went for 10 yards or more.
Nice balance there in that opening drive. Offensive coordinator Phil Longo, his laid-back ways, getting it done. Not just with Sam Howell, but the young guys as well to start this one. Jacoby, nice job running the show. Curious to see how he'll mix in Drake May along with Criswell throughout the day.
Criswell went 3 for 3 on the drive through the air as well. Here's Amir Anor on the return for Wofford, and he gets wrestled to the artificial surface. 18 yards on the return. Okay, time for our keys to the game, brought to you by your local Ford dealer with James Bates.
Well, Tom, for the Terriers, dog will hunt. They just got to go out there and hunt. They've got to hunt down yardage. They've got to keep the ball. They've got to hunt down the football, force turnovers. The only way they're going to have a chance to win this game, I think, is to force a couple turnovers here today. And for North Carolina, enjoy this. Have a nice day. It's senior day. And, you know, do you love playing football? This game that all of us enjoy watching, and these guys are living a dream out here and coming off a tough stretch. 3 ranked teams in 13 days, a close loss, overtime on the road, cold, nasty pit, and they're playing better football right now. Go out and enjoy it. Your last time here in Chapel Hill for the seniors and last game at home for this football team. So have a nice one.
Yeah, that game last Thursday and the loss at then number 21 Pitt, which scored in overtime on an 11-yard TD pass, and then North Carolina was stopped on its possession in the OT. This will be Nathan Walker, the senior, no gain. Chris Collins, 17 in Carolina blue, on the stop for UNC. Peyton Derrick is the senior quarterback for the Terriers, but as Rebecca told you, they've used several different players at this position this year, James.
Yeah, Jimmy Wyrick and Derrick, that was the competition entering camp. Derrick started. It wasn't a great start, and then it was Wyrick's show. He got hurt against Kent State. Horston's also been in there, injured against Mercer, and then Peyton played against FIU, but then was sick 2 weeks ago, but had his best game as a Terrier last week, and here they'll move the chains on their first touch.
Ryan Ingram gets the first down for Wofford to move those chains. Time for our impact players, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers with Wofford on offense, James.
Well, not only did Peyton Derrick, there you go, have a big week last week, Alec Holt was impressive in the Citadel game, a close loss, one of many close losses for them, and number 44. Going to miss watching Jeremiah Gemmel go sideline to sideline and make plays wearing that 44 in the Carolina blue, that's for sure. Here he is, right on cue. Big man.
Gemmel, the senior from Noonan, Georgia, on the tackle of Nathan Walker. 6 yards on the play for Wofford. Gemmel had 10 tackles and a sack to lead the team in that loss at Pitt last Thursday.
Defensive coordinator Jay Bateman was telling us yesterday just the residual effect. Jeremiah Gemmel, those young players that have watched him prepare for these games, he's really become a professional in his preparation, and that will linger on forever because the young guys has really set the tone for them.
Derrick hung on to it, maybe one. Tamon Fox making the tackle for North Carolina. Now, Wofford, James, also, as you mentioned, coming off a loss in overtime at the Citadel after leading 28-17 at halftime. They couldn't make it stand up and lost 45-44. Sent it into OT with a late field goal. Wofford went for 2 to try to win the game in the OT, but it was an incomplete pass and the loss by a single point at the Citadel. On third down, Ingram's not going to get it. 1 is not enough. That's when you don't want to be the one on third down.
You want to be the 3 or 4 on that. Nice penetration. Right there, immediately back into the backfield. Gemmel in on that tackle. Also in there, defensive lineman Miles Murphy.
So Downs is the deep man at his 22-yard line, which here at Kenan Memorial Stadium is Carolina blue to honor Charlie Choo Choo Justice, who wore number 22, runner-up for the Heisman twice. Roberts gets it away. Downs will let it bounce near the 35. Fielded on the hop. And dragged down just past the 30-yard line. 38 yards on the punt. The return from Downs was 6. Carolina has the football back. Also has the lead 7-0 against Wofford. Fresh Market, discover the best with 2 number 11s, Bates.
Yeah, we told you about Alec Holt just a few moments ago, the big game against the Citadel. And how about number 11 for UNC, Josh Downs, just a sophomore. But when people talk about him, Mac Brown says he's as competitive as anyone I've ever been around. The hardest worker on the team, his teammates will say. Big, big praise for the 5'10", 180-pound sophomore from Suwanee, Georgia. His dad, Gary's the running back coach, recruiting coordinator at ETSU, East Tennessee State. It will be Jacoby Criswell trying to deliver the ball to Downs and company here for this second drive of the afternoon. First one was impressive, like clockwork, marching right down the field.
Well, Criswell went 3 for 3 through the air on the drive, James. Prior to that, he'd only thrown 2 passes all season and completed both of those.
And we saw he needs us to call out all of his games. We saw both those passes against Georgia State beginning of the year.
That was a win after the loss on the road at Virginia Tech when North Carolina started the year ranked number 10. This is out past the 45. Look at Chandler trying to get the most of senior day here at Kenan Memorial Stadium. He had 44 yards on the first drive. He just got 19, James.
Yeah, you mentioned what a big get he was, the transfer from Tennessee. Look at him, little stutter step, changing speeds, and then hitting that boost button. And this is a big one. Remember, of course, the 2 special running backs they lost off of last year's team, and he just keeps on coming.
Just inside the 40-yard line of Wofford and a first down, 11 yards for Chandler. And he has gone over 1,000 yards rushing this season for the Tar Heels. 31st player to do it in school history for Ty Chandler, a graduate student from Nashville, Tennessee.
Didn't take long, did it? It's a pretty good afternoon. We're still got a little bit of meat on the bone in the first quarter for number 19.
Carolina's been strong at home this season, 5-1 overall, 4-1 in conference play for the Tar Heels on their home field. 2 yards for Chandler. Rhett Russell, tackle for the Wofford Terriers out of the Southern Conference. They've been a consistent power, although this season below their normal championship standard. SoCon champs 2017, 18, and 19. 18 and 19 under Coach Conklin. 19,
they had 9 wins, 8 wins last year. So this isn't the norm, the 1-win season. They've had 30 injuries as this one sails high over the wide open receiver. Taking away a DJ Jones, backup running back. But yeah, this is back to Wofford, 30 season-ending injuries. We told you about a couple there at the quarterback position alone. So a tough run and trying to get things turned right back around where they belong. Josh Conklin feels he's there on his second stint, was a defensive coordinator there. ACC fans might know the name from his days as defensive coordinator with Narduzzi up at Pitt.
Criswell up the middle, down the hash marks and toward the 10-yard line. Creative moves, DiRoberto on the tackle. He's got him down to the 11-yard line with a 26-yard run.
Ran out of his shoe. Designed quarterback run right here. Nice job. Put that foot in the ground and go behind Big Q Johnson. The center leading the way. Nice conversion there. And again, good play call. So knocking on the door one more time, these Tar Heels.
Now they can get a first down now, down near the 1-yard line or so. Chandler trying to stretch it out. There is no gain for Chandler.
Cameron Woolery. No relation to Chuck that I know of, but it's not, you don't hear that last name a lot, do you?
No. Nice play from Woolery, the sophomore from Orland Park, Illinois. As North Carolina threatens for a second time in as many drives, and you can see down by the 1 they can get another first down. Criswell took it in from a yard away in their opening possession. Chandler bouncing off a couple of Terriers. Camden Gray able to pull him down 2 yards. Sam Howell last game against Pitt threw for 296 yards and a couple of TD passes and ran for 1, but took some hard hits. So Coach Mack Brown and the coaching staff elected to keep him on the sidelines. He was recognized prior to the game.
Some of those hard hits too early. Really started in a hole, came roaring back. That's one thing about Mack Brown's team this year. They haven't folded up the tent. Came fighting back and made a game of it, that's for sure.
Ball comes out at the 2-yard line to Downs, but it's being ruled an incomplete pass to Josh Downs.
Good job there by Wofford to stand. Well, bend but don't break on that drive. A couple good plays on first and second down, and low ball, and boy, good hustle. Gosh, that's almost a football move. I don't think they'll take a look at it, but that was close if it didn't. I was watching more of the catch if it hit the grass, but nonetheless, it's 3 for UNC.
26 yards, Grayson Atkins. The graduate student, the transfer from Furman, knocks it through. And North Carolina has harvested 10 points from its opening 2 drives. Well, you mentioned Pat Narduzzi, James, and the Pitt Panthers. Well, they're just a win away from representing the Coastal Division. As we take a look at the standings with Wake Forest, which is at Clemson. Should the Demon Deacs win, they will represent the Atlantic in the title game.
Yeah, not quite as murky as it has been at times in the Coastal. Pitt controlling their own business, and we were up there for one of those 2 losses, hard to believe, against Western Michigan up at Pittsburgh. But playing some outstanding football. Kenny Pickett, well, that's pretty much the way it goes, isn't it, in college football? If you have a stud that can throw it around the yard like Kenny Pickett, like Sam Hartman at Wake Forest, and like Sam Howell has done so many times here at North Carolina, give yourself a pretty good chance to win some football games.
Kenny Pickett now the all-time leading passer in yardage in Pitt history. The return from a Nor out past the 30-yard line. Pitt was also in the title game back in 2018, James. And we talked about that Wake-Clemson game. The Clemson Tigers have won 33 games in a row at home. Wake Forest won the ACC title game back in 2006. They haven't won at Clemson since 1998.
Wake and Clemson playing right now on Dabo Swinney's birthday, and the Tigers' little birthday gift, 3-0. Trying to get a win for their coach
They still have a chance to win the Atlantic as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot can happen, but that one thing is certain, is those two teams control their own destiny.
By the way, Clemson has won that title game 6 years in a row also. So they certainly want to try to get back. They would need to beat Wake and have Wake also lose in the last game of the season. That's on the road at Boston College, and Clemson would have to beat South Carolina in Columbia as well. Well, that doesn't affect the standings necessarily, but they'd be watching that Wake Forest BC game. And
as good as Wake has been this year, that's a tough out, especially with Phil Dracovic back playing for BC up there. So
Broussard on the carry. Yeah, we saw Dracovic last week. How about 3 rushing TDs from the big man for the Eagles as Boston College went to Georgia Tech to get a close win.
Nice job getting up and going. Kevin Hester, defensive tackle for the Heels. Big man at 305, just a sophomore. Looking pretty good. Tackle for a loss there. 2nd down and 11 for the Terriers.
Just a minute and a half to go in our first quarter. Broussard, the senior from Jacksonville, Florida. About 3 yards for him. Cedric Gray on the stop. Cameron Kelly also there, the junior from Chesapeake, Virginia. See what Coach Conklin decides here on this 3rd and 8 play for the Terriers. They try to go to the air. This pass too far and incomplete. That's going to bring up 4th down. Alec Holt, closest Wofford receiver in the vicinity. Desmond Evans had some pressure on the quarterback. And so a punting situation for the Terriers with Roberts out to punt. Downs will receive the punt from Roberts. (10-0) Tar Heels. We're inside of a minute to go in our first quarter. Final home game of the year. Downs fields it. Gets fenced in and dropped at the 17. 38 yards on the punt. There was no return from Downs. Walker made the special teams tackle for Wofford.
Mac Brown's special teams have been pretty good this season, and watching them try to get after that punt the first 2 times Wofford has punted today, they've been close, and what's been impressive is they've been very aggressive and very close to blocking it, to the point to where they may get one before the day's up, but they also know where to go, what not to, come under control when you absolutely have to be. You can't rough that punter and give him a freebie, and they've done an excellent job of putting on the pressure but pulling up when they need to.
Jones. Mac Brown has been in coaching approaching 45 years. This is the first time he's coached against Wofford.
We were talking earlier, it's hard to believe that it's the first time in all these years that North Carolina and Wofford have met up.
It is odd, considering the campuses, as we mentioned, about 200 miles separated. Wofford and Spartanburg, South Carolina. That is complete to Downs. Spins, goes upfield to the 32-yard line. First down yardage. 264 career victories for Mac Brown, and watching perhaps the future at that position at quarterback, James.
Yeah, well, he's looked good running it and showing you right there. He can spin it. He can make all the throws, and he's hitting a pretty good target there. And Josh Downs just threading that needle, and that'll take us to the end of quarter number 1.
They're honoring the seniors and the grad students at Keenan Memorial Stadium. And the Tar Heels, with a rushing TD and a field goal, have a 10-0 lead over the visiting Wofford Terriers. ACC football.
As governor.
Welcome back to Chapel Hill, North Carolina for the start of the second quarter. The Heels up 10-0. Well, we saw Jacoris Conley go down there in the starting kickoff. Unfortunately, he is out for the remainder of the game with a lower body injury. The starting safety will not return. Guys.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, Rebecca. There's a flag down here on the play, and you know, and injuries in this game. That's one of the reasons Mack Brown said, I'll let him go ahead and...
Holding. Offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Penalties have started to become a little bit of an issue. Weren't so much in the beginning of the year for North Carolina, but some big ones. So just at inopportune times here as of late. Look at that, almost 8 yards per play for Criswell and North Carolina. But just to finish up, Rebecca, you know, that's what Coach Mack Brown, that was what he was worried about, putting Sam Howell out there for a play or two so they could send him off au revoir, Pee-wee, au revoir, Simone. But he didn't want him to get hurt on the first play. Unfortunately, that's what happened to Conley, and hopefully he's okay.
Downs has a first down. Eamon Worry on the tackle, 11 yards on the pass to Downs. He's already got 6 tackles, Eamon Worry.
You know what that's from, by the way, Tom? Au revoir, Pee-wee. Au revoir.
I did. It sounded French to me. But...
well, it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, of course.
Should have given him. There's no basement in the element.
You got to pay attention when you're working with Bates. I know firsthand. Downs pulled down. And that's Eamon Worry again, playing some inspired defensive football on the Wofford side of the field.
Well, Eamon Worry, that's tackle number 6 here early in this game. Okachi all over the football field there from the safety spot.
We told you that Criswell was just 2 of 2 for the entire season, 5 of 7 so far. And Ty Chandler, 78 yards on 10 carries. Tar Heels look to the air again. Criswell airs it out, and it's just beyond his intended receiver. Justin Olsen, 83, down that sideline.
Good job, Noor. Turn that cushion breaks down. Maybe got away with a little bit of a hold there. No flag thrown. Noor and his brother both in the secondary. And first time today, the Heels will have to punt it away.
Ben Kiernan, the junior from Dublin, Ireland. First time today, as James mentioned. Low liner. KO over to grab it up that sideline in front of his own bench. The punt was 46 yards. The return was 6. An afternoon in Chapel Hill.
Sweet tea.
Oh, get a cup of that. Refreshing here in Chapel Hill.
No matter.
College football is brought to you by CPI Security. CPI Home Security that protects what matters most. And by the Works Nitro. The Works Nitro available at worksnitro.com.
A wonderful look at the Moorhead-Patterson Bell Tower on the Chapel Hill campus of the University of North Carolina, resplendent in its fall colors. We are so pleased to be with you once again on a Saturday afternoon in the ACC. Tom Wormy, along with James Bates, a member of the national championship team from Florida in 1996. Rebecca Fiorentino joining us on the sidelines, and our incredible, dedicated ACC football production crew with you from Chapel Hill. Certainly a tip of the cap to all the women and men who work behind the scenes, bringing you the pictures and sound all season long of ACC football. We're lucky enough to document it each and every Saturday. That's a first down run and more. Peyton Derrick taken off. Resourceful all the way to the Carolina side of the 50. Gray made the tackle, 28 yards on the run.
Absolutely. And this isn't designed. The pressure got there. Decided to tuck it and go, and showing you he's got a little bit of wheels. Peyton Derrick playing his last collegiate football game here today. The transfer from App State. Nice pickup into Tar Heel territory.
Did have a rushing touchdown in the OT loss against the Citadel last week. This is another big chunk play. That's inside the 30 for Wofford. They got 16. Leggett on the run.
There you go. This is what I'm talking about. The dog will hunt key to the game. Look at the big boys getting up and moving. Getting guys like Cedric Gray cut off on the next level. Excellent job by that offensive line.
Ball's at the 27-yard line of North Carolina. Derrick also threw 4 TD passes to tie a school record a week ago. He was 7 of 12 for 181 yards through the air. They'll go Leggett again. Trying to stretch it out. He won't do it.
Nice job by Gio Biggers to fight to get that outside shoulder. Free and out there. Turning back in if needed. But a lot of times you'll turn that back in and your buddies can make the tackle. Gio just went ahead and made it himself. Junior from Woodbridge, Virginia.
Loss of 2 on the play for Wofford. Ball at the 29-yard line of North Carolina. Terriers trailing 10-0 in the second quarter. Peyton Derrick, the senior quarterback from Conway, South Carolina, handing off to Ingram. Finally dragged down after a 2-yard gain. Rucker on the stop, North Carolina.
Well, Rucker and company, good job here on first down, second down. And these are the situations, as you see, Wofford just 1 of 3 on third down conversions here today. And a tough one they're looking at right now with the 3rd and 10. These are the situations where you force turnovers, 3rd and longs, play good defense on first and second down. And that's one thing that's been lacking here for this Tar Heel defense. They've been getting to the quarterback a little bit better. They haven't been forcing the amount of turnovers that they'd like. We'll see if they put the pressure on here for Jay Bateman.
3rd and 10. Derrick hanging on to it. He's inside the 20 to the 18. Needed an extra yard to get to the 17. That was the line to gain. Miles Murphy on the tackle after 9 yards.
A little bit of a run-pass option. And, you know, Josh Conklin, he wants to base this off of a triple option, not the cut. This is more of a gun option. Not the Paul Johnson type option there for many years at Georgia Tech. But on 4th down and short, they'll line it up to go for it here.
Now a timeout taken by Wofford. So Coach Conklin wants to discuss this 4th and short. They need about a yard. They are 4 of 11 on 4th down this season. Winless in Southern Conference games this year for the first time in school history. Before we proceed, let's get a message from Works Nitro.
Meet Works Nitro. Powerful tools for any project with gas-like power without the gas. Fueled by PowerShare batteries to give you the power to outperform.
Hopefully you put off the raking and power blowing and all the other yard work to watch college football with us. You can do that later.
Yeah, if you got the Works Nitro, you don't need a rake.
Those
rake
leaves,
out.
That's right. Those leaves aren't going anywhere. Just do it later. They're still falling. Maybe they go in your pool. Maybe they don't. That's all right. Enjoy college football with us this afternoon.
Everybody do your job here defensively. Everybody, don't try to be your 1/11th of the defense here.
Wofford, first down inside the 15. It's Ingram right up the middle. He got 5, only needed 1.
Nice job by that offensive line up front. The Terriers with a good push, and Ingram taking advantage. The sophomore from Stone Mountain, Georgia, moving those chains. Fresh set of downs for the Terriers, trying to put some points on the board here.
Both of these teams average over 200 yards rushing per game. For Wofford, they're 4th in the conference, 13 in the football championship subdivision. 3rd first down on the drive for the Terriers. They won't get much here with Nathan Walker, the senior ball carrier. Got 2. Tamari Fox, Raymond Vohasek involved in the tackle for North Carolina.
And Mac Brown, he made sure his team knew this is a Samford team that scored 52 on Florida last week, beat Wofford just 27-24 in a pretty close game. So you've got a football team coming in that, you know, if it can happen there in the swamp, it can happen here in Keenan. You got a team that can come in and score some points, but the Heels trying to get stingy down low and keep them out of the paint.
Gimmel on the tackle. Yeah, that game against Sanford was October 16th at home for Coach Conklin and the Terriers at Gibbs Stadium in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And Sanford made a field goal with 1:38 left in that game to win it 27-24 against Wofford. 1 of 4 on third down. They've had some success on this drive. 3 first downs on the drive with the ball at the 10-yard line. They can get a first down at the 3. Derrick handing it off to Ingram, and he gets pushed back. What a surge by North Carolina. Now flags come out late, and it almost looked like, James, that Ingram wanted to toss that ball, but there was too much pressure coming from the North Carolina defense. Bohasic and Gray.
Bohasic there immediately. Otherwise, this play.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 51. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Sometimes a little bit too much by 51. If I remember correctly, he had one of those against the Hokies in the opener. Just a little bit too aggressive. He's a scrappy guy, and you want some fight out of your players, but between the whistles, you give him a fresh set of downs. But you're absolutely right, Tom. That play was coming back the other way, and it looked like it was going to be successful. But great penetration right off the snap by Bohasic. Nixed it.
So after the penalty, first and goal for Wofford. And Peyton Derrick into the pile. Nathan Walker. 21 in white, gold, and black.
But see, that last play, Tom, that's the kind of penalty that is just crushed in these huge moments here this season as of late. You know, the Pitt game, the offsides, and late in the game, and they just got to clean those things up. You know, it's experienced, older football players who just have to be smarter. Give a team like this another chance here deep in the red zone.
12 penalties for 104 yards in the loss at Pitt for North Carolina. Derrick made a move. Couldn't get away at the 5. Stumbles down near the 4-yard line. Came on Rucker, had a hold of him. 5 yards, and Derrick is still down. Peyton Derrick clutching that left knee. Rolling around on the turf. So they're going to check on him.
It's been such an adventure at quarterback for these poor Terriers. 4, 5 guys. Kyle Penix is the backup. He's played a little bit, but this is their best guy here.
Leaf season is here.
Well, a look going under the medical tent. Peyton Derrick coming off his best game as a Terrier. There's a look at it. And Rucker with the tackle and falling on that left leg of Peyton Derrick. Let's hope he's okay. Your new quarterback in there is a freshman, Kyle Penix from Reidsville, North Carolina, 6'1", 185-pounder. You hate to see that in Peyton Derrick playing in his last game, not only of the season, but his college career, the transfer from App State. Let's see if we can get an update from Rebecca on him as we go along. It'll be up to Kyle Penix. Try to punch it in the end zone here and get some points on the board on this 3rd and goal. The Terrier offense.
Penix does have 1 passing TD this season. He's 3 of 9 overall. Seeing action in his 4th game, as James mentioned. And they're going to work with 3 receivers to the near side. 3rd and goal for Wofford. 1 of 5 on 3rd down in the game. And the 11th play of the drive for the Terriers. Penix into the end zone for Wofford. 3 yards away, and Kyle Penix takes it in for the Terriers.
Nice little play call. Defensively, though, you have to be alert when they line up 3 guys on one side of the field. They're doing that for a reason a lot of times. It's like when they'll go empty. You got to be aware of a quarterback run. You try to clear out the middle of defenders. But Wofford behind the new guy, the freshman Kyle Penix at quarterback. Nice read. Everybody washed down and tripping on into the Carolina blue paint. It's 10-7. Tar Heels.
In America,
Kyle Penix from 3 yards out to get the Terriers on the board. What a drive, too. And that leads us right to our 5-star drive summary, brought to you by Yellowwood. Almost 7 minutes off the clock, James.
Yeah, got it moving, doing just what they want to do. They want to eat up that clock. Got to be good on first down and second down, which they were on that drive. Converted the 4th down and then aided a little bit with the roughing the passer penalty. And Penix, 1 snap, 1 touchdown.
First rushing TD of his career. Had thrown the passing TD this season in the 3 previous games he played in. 1 play, 6 points from 3 yards away. 6:22 to go in the second quarter. First all-time meeting, North Carolina and Wofford. Jacoby Criswell, quarterback for the Tar Heels. Sam Howell unable to go today. Upper body injury. Expected to play next Friday when North Carolina and NC State renew their rivalry. The 111th meeting between the teams. Jones rumbles up past the 30. He got 6 on the carry. Michael Mason on the stop as the clock continues to roll, approaching 6 minutes to go in the second quarter.
I hope Sam Howell's ready to go. That Friday night game, that'll be one heck of a matchup. Always is a great game. Just something about it this year is going to be extra special, I feel like.
First down, close to the 40. Jones on the catch. And for more on Sam Howell, let's go down to the sidelines and Rebecca.
Yeah, guys, I was over on the Tar Heels sideline just observing Sam Howell. He may not be playing today, but he's still heavily involved. Each time Jacoby Criswell came over off the field, him and Sam Howell were sitting right next to each other. I had a chance to talk to Howell right before the game, and he told the players just to be calm and relax and enjoy the game.
Be calm and relax, kind of like their offensive coordinator, Rebecca, Phil Longo, telling us, they always come in the meeting room, I got my feet up. I've been listening to country or reggae, and he credits Mike Leach and Cliff Kingsbury being around them and the way they handle their quarterback rooms. And he said if I were a linebacker coach, I'd be bouncing off the walls trying to get them to do the same thing. But I like my quarterbacks to be nice, even keeled, and relaxed. Sam Howell, a great leader down there, Rebecca. That's for sure. They're in good hands.
That ball's in good hands as well, and all the way to the end zone for North Carolina. 38-yard run and a touchdown. British Brooks takes it in for North Carolina. So after Wofford had punched it in with a rushing TD from Penix, British Brooks takes it the other way, and the touchdown run of 38 yards. Atkins adds the extra point. British Brooks.
Good job by the big guys up front. Brooks outside, nice blocking down the field. That's how those big plays happen. Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament.
BC College Football is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. By Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we resolve to continue stepping up for you and your family. And by Yellowwood. Yellowwood, if it doesn't have the yellow tag, you don't want it.
Spectacular fall scenes on the North Carolina campus. Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We just had a British invasion of the end zone. 17-7. The Tar Heels have the lead over the Terriers. British Brooks, longest rush of his career. Second rushing TD of the season for Brooks. 38 yards to take it in the end zone and cap off a 4-play, 75-yard drive that took 135.
There's DJ Jones heading to the locker room, who is listed as that backup running back, and hopefully he didn't get Wally Pipp there. British Brooks run. Hopefully DJ Jones is okay, the sophomore running back.
2 carries for 10 yards in the game so far for Jones. North Carolina has the second best rushing attack in the ACC, led by Ty Chandler. Chandler, the leading rusher today, with 78 yards. Coming up at halftime, it's Driven with Mac Brown, the legend. Highlights and stats from the first half and scores around the ACC. 2 very important ones to keep an eye on. Wake Forest at Clemson, and the Pitt Panthers trying to wrap up the Coastal Division.
Probably won't see it, Tom, in that shot in the Driven piece on Mac Brown, but just know as he's answering those questions, he's got the sweetest Jordans on that you've ever seen. Great shoe game from the head man here in Chapel Hill.
Peyton Derrick has come back into quarterback for the Terriers. He was clutching his left knee on that previous drive, finished off by the 3-yard run by Penix, his replacement. But Peyton Derrick has come back into the game. Pitt is hosting Virginia. It's 3:30 Eastern today. Heinz Field.
Good to see Peyton Derrick back out there. There's Kyle Penix, 15. Back over on the sidelines. 1 and done, but it was a good one. Touchdown run. For the Terriers, their only points, but Peyton Derrick playing his last game. You'd hate to see him go out with that injury like that, so good to have him back in there.
Broussard has a first down for Wofford up past the 35-yard line to the 37, and 7 yards on the carry. And we're inside of 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Kevin Hester Jr. in on the tackle. Morrison as well. Trey Morrison, the senior from Norcross, Georgia. One of the 21 seniors and grads. And Sam Howell, honored prior to this game. Final home game of the year at Kenan Stadium for the Tar Heels. Always a lot of emotion in the building. And I'll ask you, James, that senior day moment for you down at the Swamp.
Yeah, oh, that's a great memory. You know, run out there and hug your mama and say goodbye to all those home fans, and you know, a lot of football at that point in '96 left to be played in a lot of important games, but that's a special place to me, and still to this day we still live in Gainesville, and I go in there and think about, you know, those last few ball plays in that stadium that meant so much to you. So without a doubt a special day for all these seniors and some of the underclassmen that are on their way out.
You're right, North Carolina has more football to play. As Gimmel made the tackle of Broussard and a loss of 1, the Tar Heels will take on NC State next week, and that is in Raleigh up the road. North Carolina's won 2 in a row in that series. They had a great game back in 2018, although the Wolfpack won it in overtime 34-28. We had a chance to call that game back in 2018. 2 of 6 on third down for Wofford. Just over 2 minutes to go in our first half. Derrick sliding past the 45-yard line. They're only going to give him the 45. Needed 2 more yards to get to the first down marker. He got 3 as Cedric Gray stopped his progress.
Gray's got to be careful in that situation. As soon as he begins that slide, he gives himself up, and a good job on the mark because he did begin that slide behind the 45. So here comes the punting unit.
North Carolina's taking a timeout, James, with 2:05 on the clock.
Real quick before you read this, so to show you how fast this game's going, Tom, the Clemson game, Wake Forest, Clemson was leading by 10 last I saw. They're just now starting the second quarter. We've got 2:05 left in the first half. This game's going along.
Yeah, you're right on that score. 10-0. Clemson has the lead. And speaking of games, how about next week on most of these ACC stations? The Miami Hurricanes coming to Durham to face the Duke Blue Devils. Our coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern. You want to check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Miami can still get a share of the Coastal, but because of the tiebreakers, cannot represent the Coastal in Charlotte in that title game. Duke coming off a tough loss on Thursday against visiting Louisville, 62-22. And so that's the game we'll have for you to close out the season here on your regional sports networks and your ACC stations. This is Downs. He'll watch it bounce. It'll go near the 10-yard line. And they'll mark it at the 9. 46 yards on the punt.
They're getting close here, Tom. I wouldn't be shocked if they get one by the end of the day. Not quite as close as the first two. But they've been putting some pressure, and they've actually had the block on. And see if they can do something. Downs letting that ball roll, and it'll roll down inside the 10-yard line. And it's still Jacoby Criswell running the show in there for the Tar Heels at quarterback.
So Brooks is the running back. Tar Heels with 169 yards on the ground in the first half. Although Criswell wants to throw it. Open man was Downs. Couldn't handle it. Wofford had a chance at that one as well. Eamon Worry. So from the 9, 2nd and 10 after the incompletion with 1:53 to go in the second quarter. You had to say we're moving right along, didn't you, Bates? You had to say it.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I kid because I can. From his goal line, Criswell, dangerous situation, then gets rid of it and has the pass to Walston. The elusive nature of Criswell. The pass complete to Walston as Anderson made the tackle. 20 yards on the play.
And Tom, there are a lot of guys out there with all the tools to be a good quarterback. But this right here, this is what makes a special quarterback, what makes a great quarterback. When things break down, creating and making things happen. Again, case in point, up near the first down marker. When things kind of bail, he just bails out and makes things happen. Very crafty on the last play here, tucking it and going, getting what he can.
11 yards for a first down on the run by Criswell. Ball right at the 40-yard line. Criswell.
You know, I think we had Boston College last week. Phil Jurkovec being back. And Jeff Hafley talking about he gives us hope. He gives them hope because of those off-schedule plays. Not what's called and how it's supposed to look. But what's their demeanor? Do they panic when things break down, when things don't go their way? And we've seen it a couple times here for Jacoby Criswell. You know, Mac Brown has said our best players are underclassmen, freshmen, and sophomores. If we have a quarterback that can step up next year, we'll be a really good football team.
Criswell has the time, goes over the middle. Downs reaching out for that one, makes the catch. Wofford side of the 50.
But then again, maybe he doesn't want me saying that because on our phone call, he said, you know what, we were overranked this year, and we're 5-5, and everybody's saying how bad we are. Tennessee, nobody expected anything out of them, and the Volunteers are 5-5, and everybody's talking about how great they are. So next year, going into the season, I'm going to tell everybody that'll listen, we're going to be horrible this year.
5 catches for 57 yards so far for Downs. Criswell improvising, now running, 40-yard line and a spin. And he's got first down yardage. Down to the 36-yard line for Criswell. Beckley made the tackle. It's a player down right at midfield for Wofford. 55 is Cameron Woolery. Helped up by the training staff, but favoring that left leg. Wofford out of the football championship subdivision. Part of the playoffs from 2017 to 20 at that level. Left side of the screen.
There's the defensive end, Woolery, and gosh, you know what? Just in the process of the rush. You know, hopefully that isn't an Achilles or a calf type of injury, or hopefully it's just a cramp. It seems like something like that.
Criswell to the end zone. The receiver stumbled down. That was Green. Got tangled up with the defender. The boos rained down, but the play is incomplete. No flags.
The ball thrown out of the back of the end zone, a little bit too strong, maybe calling it uncatchable, and it was, feet got tangled. It's good, no flag. The ball going out of the back of the end zone right there, and Wofford's going to take a timeout here with 21 seconds.
The defender was Amir Anor on Antoine Green. Criswell, by the way, the leading rusher now in the game, 10 carries, 78 yards. It'll be 2nd and 10 for North Carolina. Peyton Derrick, the quarterback for Wofford, the leading rusher on their side. He's got 46 yards. Mack Brown, what a great conversation we had yesterday with Mack Brown. Yes, maybe he's been in coaching for over 40 years, but James, he says he gets something out of every single game. You learn a little bit more about yourself, your team, and the game on the sidelines.
It's always such a treat. It's, fortunate, in our profession to spend some time with guys like Mack Brown, David Cutcliffe over at Duke. You always take so much out of there. You get carpal tunnel from writing everything down that they say, every single word. Nice timeout for Conklin to make sure his troops know how big these last 21 seconds are. They got to make a stop, though.
Criswell pass inside the 20. That's on time and on schedule for a first down to Downs.
Offensive line continues to do a great job for Criswell, but it also, not tight coverage there, but they've a couple times when the secondary's been asked to run with these receivers for a long time, they've hung in there. Got to find a way to put a little bit of pressure on these UNC quarterbacks.
6 catches. Yeah, 6 catches for Downs in the game. That's 88 for the season, best in the conference. Criswell was looking his way initially. Now it comes back the other way. There is no receiver in that region. Closest one was Antoine Green. He was in the end zone.
You see, here's a good example. Nobody sniffs Criswell, but he's still forced to get rid of that football, throw it out of bounds because of the tight coverage down the field.
So 8 seconds on the clock with 2 timeouts for North Carolina, James, on 2nd and 10.
Of course, you got to be careful penalties here in the end of the first half or second half. Penalty can cost you a 10-second knockoff, and the quarter's done.
Criswell, pressure coming, got rid of it. Back corner of the end zone, too far. Justin Olson was the receiver. We've got a second left. And so North Carolina going to roll out the field goal unit, try to go 3 for 3 in the red zone today. They're one of the better teams in the red zone this season, James. 3rd in the conference.
A nice stop for Wofford. Remember, they'll get the ball to start the second half as they won the toss and deferred, and that was an injury to Conley, first play of this football game on the return. So they can be within 2 scores here and get the ball first in the second half would be big for them.
The field goal attempt from 34 yards away, and it is good on the final play of the first half by Grayson Atkins, 2 for 2. In the first half, he also made from 27 yards away to add 3 for North Carolina as it heads to the locker room with the 20-7 lead against Josh Conklin and the Terriers on Senior Day here at Keenan Memorial Stadium. Sam Howell was a spectator in that first half, and he watched the Tar Heels take a 27 lead. Down to Rebecca.
Coach, Senior Day for this special class. You told us this week you might get a little emotional. What were your emotions as this class was being honored?
Well, you go back through and look at the 3 years that these guys have been with you. They were struggling when we got here. They're going to leave the place a lot better than when they came here. So really excited for them.
You also told us you weren't sure about the quarterback situation with Sam Howell out. How do you evaluate Jacoby Criswell's play so far?
We didn't know whether Sam was going to play till this morning or not. The doctors came to us and said he wasn't going to play. I think Jacoby's done a good job. He got settled down. He's missed a couple of the deep balls. Nearly got us in trouble there at the end. Got to get more than 1 second left. We'd like to have 3. And we will try to get Drake May in some in the second half.
All right, Coach. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Rebecca, thanks. 1 second was enough for Grayson Atkins to make it from 34 yards away. He made 2 field goals in the first half. Criswell had the rushing TD, and British Brooks also took it in from 38 yards away. It is halftime at Chapel Hill. The Tar Heels lead the Terriers 20-7. Welcome to halftime, presented by your local Toyota dealers. North Carolina got a late field goal with 1 second left on the clock in the first half and have a 20-7 lead against the Wofford Terriers, the first all-time meeting between North Carolina and Wofford. But, James, a lot of what we expected in that first half and over 300 yards of total offense for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, Tar Heels making some big plays. Wofford, they give up the big run to British Brooks. They got to shut down some of those bigger runs, but they've done a fine job. And then defensively for North Carolina, they know that run's coming, and they've had some good penetration, but they've got to be consistent. They've got to do it every single play and try to stay healthy and have some more fun here in the second half.
Action from the first half. Sam Howell unable to go in this game. Upper body injury gives way to Jacoby Criswell, who takes it in from a yard away.
Yeah, yard away right here. Had a nice big run there on that opening drive. Nice balance as Ty Chandler, transferred from Tennessee, goes up over 1,000 yards this season, over 3,000 in his career. Atkins with a field goal, 1 of 2 to make it 10-0 there in that first quarter. Then on into the second quarter, after a little bit of help, a Ravo Hassick penalty to give him a fresh set of downs. There's the injury to Derek Payton. And the one play that we've seen Kyle Penix here today, the freshman from Reidsville, North Carolina.
One play and he's in the end zone?
That's right, Tom. One play, believe it or not.
Wow.
That's the 7 points that Wofford's got.
Yeah, first rushing touchdown of his career. But then British Brooks, the British are coming, 38 yards.
Here they come, light the lantern. And British Brooks.
One if by land, two if by sea.
That's right. So it was only one lit right there.
That's right. And Atkins with a late field goal as well. He went 2 for 2 in the first half, and North Carolina has the 20-7 lead. But give Wofford credit. They had a really nice drive, James. When they scored, it took about 7 minutes off the clock.
Yeah, got to be a little bit better on first and second down to make those third downs more manageable, but also factored in there they had a fourth down conversion, and when they really needed it a couple times, they've stiffened up on that offensive line and done a good job on that defensive front for North Carolina. And there you see the 8.6 yards per play for North Carolina. That's where Wofford has to improve, not giving up the big plays.
Chandler, the leading rusher, with 78 yards on 10 carries in that first half and 192 yards on the ground for North Carolina. This is the Toyota Halftime Report.
Georgia Natural Gas.
This is Driven, Mac Brown, presented by your local Toyota dealers.
As difficult as our last year was, I think we all learned from it with the COVID, with the social justice issues, then with the transfer portal, and now with name, image, and likeness. We've learned to be more direct. We've learned to have very uncomfortable conversations. There's not one thing that I wouldn't ask our players about in my life or their life, and I've learned to listen. And it's been one of the best years of my life in a very difficult time because of these guys. And I'm so blessed to be back in coaching because I can still learn from them.
Howell again into the end zone.
And you seem to not only make sure that they are getting along, but they're having fun. And it's a big point of emphasis, but they seem to go hand in hand, though.
When I was in your spot for 5 years, I saw miserable coaches, and I saw players under tremendous pressure. We all want to win. That doesn't mean you don't want to win when you say that I'm going to make this fun, but I want us to have more fun than any other football team in college football. I want us to graduate every player. I want us to win every game. And I want us to also be able to better prepare the guys, which is a lot of name, image, and likeness for life after football, because we all know it comes to an end. And a lot of times football guys have trouble transitioning to life because this is an identity that we take, whether we like it or not, and it's who we are. And when you quit playing, you've got to find some way to have that competitive spirit in other things. And that's what we're doing with our guys.
Driven, Mac Brown, is presented by your local Toyota dealers. The new 2021 Toyota 4Runner. Visit Toyota.com for more information.
In America, the future belongs to everyone.
We are back on the Toyota Halftime Report from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the old well on the campus here in Chapel Hill. And the Tar Heels have a 20-7 lead against the visiting Terriers from Wofford. Well, in the ACC this season, James, it's interesting because we've had such a wild year, but yet it basically comes down to today. And if two teams, Wake Forest and Pitt, can get wins today, they will represent their respective divisions in the ACC title game.
Well, first of all, it's not looking very good for Wake Forest right now. Clemson on top of them 17-3 last I saw. And, you know, this is a North Carolina team, handed them that first loss and showed everybody that it could be done. It's been an exciting game when North Carolina and Wake Forest have gotten together the last couple of years. Clemson on top. Florida State coming back. You know, it took them a little while to get going. The loss to Jacksonville State was a big hit early on, but to beat their rival Miami last weekend and to follow it up, to go on the road and play at BC and to be up on top right now, 19-3, I believe that score is. Just getting in ready just in time for my Florida Gators. They can beat up on the Gators next weekend.
Hey, guess what? I'm going to update you on those scores right now with some help from our production truck. And here are the scores around the ACC. And you start on Thursday with the big win for Louisville. And Malik Cunningham, responsible for 7 touchdowns in that game.
So much fun to watch. Well, if you're a Louisville Cardinal fan or football fan, but not if you're a Duke Blue Devil. It's been a rough season for them. Again, winless. They'll try to change that next week as we have them against the Miami Hurricanes. And Miami's set to go against Virginia Tech later on tonight. NC State playing Syracuse and Virginia. Will Brennan Armstrong be able to go and give Pitt a run for their money with Kenny Pickett? Without Armstrong, I don't think that they can hang in that game. And although Robert Anae, he's got a few quarterbacks there on that offense, and he'll mix it up a little bit there, even if Brendan Armstrong cannot go after their loss to Notre Dame.
And again, if Pitt wins that game against Virginia, it represents the Coastal Division. NC State still has a path as well if they can win their last 2 games also. So keep an eye on the Pack as they take on the Orange. Time to take a quick time out. You've been watching the Toyota Halftime Report, and North Carolina has a 20-7 lead. British Brooks in the end zone.
We're all motivated by something. A place.
Moments ago, Rebecca with head coach of the Wofford Terriers, Josh Conklin.
Coach, you told us this week that your team is a bunch of fighters. They work hard and put in good effort. What's your assessment of the effort that they've shown so far?
Really good. I mean, we had a couple of drives there on offense that were good to see, and we had a couple of stops on defense. We just got to try to execute, continue to do that here the second half. But they're having fun, they're competing, and they won't give up. I know that with that group.
For your seniors, this is their final 30 minutes in a Wofford uniform. What was your message at the half?
Really, it's about just having fun. Enjoy. This is the last time this group gets to come out here and do this. So have fun, enjoy each other. When we wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be a completely different team.
Well, Coach, enjoyed this one. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Rebecca, Josh Conklin, defensive-minded head coach, defensive coordinator at Pitt before taking that Wofford job, and look for his offense to move the football down the field. But I think they can get a turnover or 2 in the second half. That could really make things interesting. Maybe a little bit of help. Had a tough time slowing down this Tar Heel offense in the first half.
Wofford will have the ball to start the second half from Kenan Memorial Stadium, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Tom Wormy, James Bates. You just heard from Rebecca Fiorentino joining us on the sidelines, and our incredible, outstanding, talented production crew with you for ACC football. We appreciate your viewership all season long. One more week to go after this one, Bates. It'll be Miami and Duke next week for us to close out the season.
It's like a Thanksgiving sandwich. Thanksgiving in between.
That is a 12:30 Eastern start in Durham at Wallace Wade Stadium. Ingram on the carry for 5 yards to get us rolling in the third quarter. Wake Forest is making it interesting, James. We just got an update there, 17-10 now as Wake scored, and the numbers for Peyton Derrick, most of it on the ground in that first half, and came back from injury too. Good to see.
Yep. You know, and Conklin says he wants to be a triple option minded football team out of that shotgun, but he wants to be able to throw the football is the ideal way to run things here, and so doing it on the ground, just what the head coach ordered. They'll go to the ground again.
Derrick, plenty of room, sliding near midfield. First down and more, 17 yards. Peyton Derrick, the senior, on the carry.
You know, and let's not forget, this is a Wofford bunch. You mentioned earlier, a couple hundred miles away from Chapel Hill. and guys that, trying to show teams like North Carolina, hey, you should have recruited me. A little chip on the shoulder type of mentality, a terrier attitude, if you will, to, just yipping, nipping, and trying to chip away, and doing just that here on this opening drive in the second half. A couple pretty good first plays here in the second half for this offense.
Derek with a play fake, and that one is intercepted. McMichael on the pick for North Carolina. There's a player down for North Carolina. That's Gimmel, moving slowly. McMichael had 9 yards on the return after the pick, James.
Hopefully 44 is okay. How about the concentration? McMichael off the hands of the receiver. I believe that was Alec Holt. Right through his hands. And, Alec Holt, though, you can be upset, but you got to continue playing. And teammates there bringing him down. But we saw, and I believe it was Georgia Tech earlier, the ball went through an offensive guy's hands, intercepted. And a game-saving tackle by P.J. Harris after the turnover.
Well, Drake May is into the game at quarterback. He hands it off to British Brooks, who drags some Terriers with him down close to the 35-yard line. He's inside the 40, 38-yard line, 17 yards, Brooks.
Now taking advantage of this opportunities for Drake May and British Brooks both. DJ Jones has left the game. You saw him going into the locker room earlier, and we got word he will not return, a lower body injury for the sophomore DJ Jones.
May seeing his first action of the season, hands it off again. It's the same guy. It's Brooks. And that's 9 yards on that carry, just inside the 30-yard line.
Sure helps these young quarterbacks out when you've got guys able to run the football. There's Drake May, and it was Ty Chandler for Jacoby Criswell in the first half. And here it's British Brooks' little play pass.
Downs. 25-yard line and a first down. Camden Gray on the tackle. 7 catches in the game for Downs. He's a 1,000-yard receiver this year for North Carolina.
Downs started at opening week against Virginia Tech. Had 8 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown. Hadn't let up.
May again near the 15. It is on the money. Justin Olson, first down, North Carolina. He beat Anor defensively.
Nice job on the timing route. Back shoulder throw. Showing you that whip out to Olson. And it's been the backup reps as they go into the CPI security red zone.
3 for 3 in the red zone today. May hands that one off. This is Brooks. All the way to the end zone for North Carolina and his second rushing TD. Four carries, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. British Brooks runs of 38 and 14 on that previous play to get it in the end zone for the Tar Heels. Grayson Atkins has the extra point.
2 if by sea, 1 if by land. Light that lamp again. The British are coming 27-7. Good job blocking by Olson down the field to help pave the way.
College football is brought to you by your local Sherwin-Williams paint store. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit your local Toyota dealers today. And by Synovus. Synovus, the proud sponsor of whatever inspires you.
The University of North Carolina, chartered in 1789. 27-7 the lead as British Brooks goes into the end zone for the second time in the game. Of course, back in 1776, the United States declared its independence. And then the Treaty of Paris in 1783, official independence for the United States. Since we're talking about the British and all that other good stuff, James, there's your history lesson. I think that's going to be ringing tonight.
Yes.
And all lit up in Carolina blue, as is the tradition that Mack Brown brought to town in his second stint as the head coach. They'll light up the Moorhead-Patterson Bell Tower on the campus. Just beyond the stands, off to the left of our broadcast position. Beautiful Saturday afternoon, temps in the high 40s. Bright sunshine, unless you're standing on the North Carolina sideline of the field. Completely in shade as Nathan Walker carries it for 5 yards. Lucky I have statistician Freddie Kiger to help me out with all those dates. The resident historian here on the Chapel Hill campus. Our spotter is Skip McMillan, providing the cafe lattes this afternoon. And our incredible staff, as I've mentioned, this would not happen without the efforts of so many people who start working well before kickoff on Saturdays.
3 backs, Tom, that we've seen run the football hard behind this hard-working offensive line. Here's Walker, Broussard, Ryan Ingram. And part of the reason why this game has gone fast, they just eat away at that clock, methodically just trying to plug away. It's primarily running the football, but having some success with it as well. And like Conklin said, his team's not going to give up, going to continue to fight, try to keep that bell from ringing here tonight. But they got a little work to do, down 20.
Not surprisingly, Wofford, one of the top rushing teams in the football championship subdivision. They're 13th in FCS. They're up to 141. North Carolina is second in the ACC in rushing. And you see what the Tar Heels have done. Most of that, Chandler and Brooks. Also Criswell rushing the football for the Tar Heels this afternoon. Holt. 6 yards on the play for the Terriers. 3-13 all time against the ACC. Although those victories, all 3 of them were against Clemson, but that was back in the 1920s when Clemson was actually part of the Southern Conference.
Oh, all right.
In fact, the last win against the current ACC opponent, 1926, against the Clemson Tigers, 3-0. Again, the Clemson Tigers were part of the Southern Conference, as a lot of teams were, and have now moved on to the ACC and other conferences. Flags on the play.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Well, that's unfortunate for Wofford. They played a clean game, really, for the most part here today. And one thing you have to do, you have to take care of that football, just turn one over. And that's the first flag thrown against Wofford, and a costly one. Lining up for a 3rd down and short. North Carolina defensively, they make a big shift altogether. And Wofford not ready for it. They all jump offside. So here's a 3rd down and 7 now.
Derrick, nowhere to go. Swallowed up. There is no gain on the play. Fourth down for the Terriers.
Ritzy in there on the stop, but a good job by that whole defensive front for Carolina to just stretch it and not give any daylight at all for Peyton Derrick to get off the football field.
So Downs is the deep man, standing near his 21-yard line. Roberts to punt it away. Flags before the snap. Marcus Woods is our referee.
False start. Offense, number 31. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
It's Eli Purcell, Knoxville Farragut guy. Bill Bates went to Knoxville Farragut, Tennessee Volunteer and Dallas Cowboy back in the day.
Again, pressure on that punt block from North Carolina. Downs is going to let it bounce. And that'll stop at about the 16-yard line. 50 yards on the punt from Atkins Roberts. The sunny scene in Chapel Hill. And a Saturday in the fall in the ACC. Time now for our Greatness Made Here feature, brought to you by Synovus.
Yeah, and each of these touchdowns for British Brooks have been thanks in large part to the blocking by the receivers down the field. First one was Antoine Green. This one was Olsen. And, you know, the British are coming. It reminds me of British Knights. Remember the shoe in the 80s, early 90s, British Knights? Cool Mo D wore them. To all those suckers who thought I could only rock beats, but never rock in crowds, but never rock records. How you like me now? How you like me now? British Brooks getting an opportunity here today. You saw Ty Chandler. You tell they want him to go over that 1,000-yard mark for the season. Let's rest him up for NC State on Friday. Then we thought it was going to be the DJ Jones show, but DJ Jones injured, lower body injury, won't be back in this game. So British Brooks taking over. And he's done a fine job. And let's see how Drake May, second quarterback in this game, does on this drive.
Caleb Hood on the carry. That's number 4 for North Carolina, the freshman, Rockingham, North Carolina. Brooks has 2 rushing TDs in the game. Criswell has 1. He has given way to Drake May. Incredible athletic lineage. Father Mark was a quarterback here at North Carolina in the mid-80s. And brother Luke May won a basketball national championship as well here at North Carolina. It was back in 2017. Flags are out.
This will be a face mask. And keep it going. His brother Colin won a College World Series with Kevin O'Sullivan and the Florida Gators that same year, if I'm not mistaken, that Carolina won the basketball national championship.
2017.
Holding. Offense. Number 52. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
There's your hold.
Adorno is 52. Third penalty on North Carolina. 7:19 and rolling in the third quarter. Tar Heels up 27-7. This is May galloping up the middle.
All right.
Okay. Up to the 30-yard line and 18 yards. Drake May.
Well, just like Criswell a couple times. Nothing there. Let me tuck it and get what I can. And what I can is a whole lot right up the gut of this Wofford defense. Out there in coverage, it's thinned out. And just to finish up with the family, his mom went to UNC. She was a great basketball player in high school. His brother, Bo, is a student here at North Carolina.
May extending the play. Now he cradles it and gets pulled down. TJ Neal, 0 for Wofford. It's a negative play for Carolina, loss of 4. And the carry by May.
Yeah, that's, you know, be an interesting battle and a good problem to have there in spring ball is Sam Howell. It sure looks like on his way to the NFL where will be a first-round draft pick. Not playing today if you're joining us late.
May's pass caught by Downs. Even Worry makes the tackle. 8 catches for Downs. 9th straight game with 8 catches or more.
Protection there again, just like Criswell in the first half. Drake May, plenty of time. Let Downs clear it out. So a 3rd down and 5. Coming up now for the Tar Heels. Let's see if Wofford can get off the field.
May tries the other side. This one is caught. J.J. Jones, the freshman. Tar Heels think they have a first down, and the officials agree.
Excellent job to fight by J.J. Jones, because initially he comes back to the 39-yard line and makes that catch. If he goes down and doesn't fight to stretch that ball over the 40-yard line, it'll be a 4th down. Great effort by Jones.
5 receiver set. May's going to run it right up the middle. He knows his alleys all the way to a 1st down inside the 45. 15 yards on the run, Drake May. First action this season, making the most of it, James.
Designed run again here. It's funny, the similarities in the way this offense has been called and the momentum and the rhythm that Phil Longo has gotten both quarterbacks into. It's almost like here's the play sheet for 6, and it's going to be more of the same for 10. And it's similar situations in their sessions in the football game. Driving the football right now.
Hood runs it. So Hood takes it for 6 yards. We're also keeping an eye on number 11 in Carolina Blue. Josh Downs needs 25 yards to set a single season record for receiving. So keep an eye on Downs. The numbers right now, 8 catches for 89 yards. But again, he's trying to run down Hakeem Nicks, who set the record in 2008 with 1,222 yards receiving. So we'll keep an eye on that. That was an incomplete pass as they were looking for Downs.
Almost off the dribble. It was close to being backwards, and that were the case, he could have kept going. There you see his day today. The 8 catches, 89 yards, and wow, pretty big feat. Sam Howell, and as far as quarterbacks go, he owns just about every record out there in the UNC books, and one of his teammates, Downs, trying to get a big one here today as well.
That is caught near the sideline and a 1st down. J.J. Jones just picked it off the turf.
Jones up top. You know, again, the timing. These are nice timing routes that you've seen. A great job of securing that football, not letting it hit the turf. But Drake May, Jacoby Criswell, they've split the backup reps. You know, obviously, the lion's share have gone to Sam Howell, the first string reps, getting ready for the opponent each weekend. But when it comes to backup reps, second string quarterback reps, they've split them.
May to the goal line, just knocked away at the last moment. J.J. Jones, defended by Damian Curtis, and knocked away and incomplete.
Well, this ball is going to be a touchdown if not for the hustle to fight back and get in the picture. Actually, I beg your pardon. It looks like Jones was ball was coming out of his hands. Good job to fight by the defensive back. Make sure it gets knocked away. So here's your 2nd and 10 now.
The 11th play of the drive. Hood gets the handoff. And the Terriers were waiting for him. That's a loss of 3. Want to make sure you stay with us after the 3rd quarter for the 4th. Presented by CPI Security. James Bates is a star of our show, and you'll see him in the 4th.
Maybe you won't see me. Maybe you just hear me.
You better be here.
I'll be here, but you might not see me.
2.5 minutes to go in our quarter. Penalty markers. Referee Marcus Woods in the white hat.
Outside, defense, number 91. Jumping the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So they marked the football at the 27-yard line as Garnett was offside. Lined up in the neutral zone. Third down for May in Carolina. Trying to run to get it with Brooks. Second effort. He needed the 19. They're going to mark him at the 20. And he got 7. Might be just a little bit short. May looking to the sidelines for some direction.
Yeah, they'll go for it here. It's no shame in trying to get these reps for these young quarterbacks on the 4th down and short. Still a 27-7 football game.
6 of 14 on the season on 4th down, and that was Brooks. He dragged a would-be tackler down to the 19 for the first down, 3 yards. Camden Gray went for the ride.
Well, Gray's back there to make the hit. It's just the want-to of Brooks. Brooks is putting on a little bit of a show here today. That time they needed him on 4th down. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage. Looked like he was going to be dropped for a loss, perhaps. But dragging that defender and moving those chains, keeping this drive alive as we near the end of the 3rd quarter.
May through the progression. Pros on the run. Flags are out on the play. Antoine Green was the receiver in the end zone, and Donovan Anderson in coverage for Wofford. Penalty markers.
And Anderson's just got to snap that head around.
Pass interference. Defense, number 20. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
But again, it's just so tough when you have absolutely no pressure on these quarterbacks to ask these DBs to run with these speedy receivers all over the football field. Look at that coverage. You know, again, the receiver, those eyes get big. Those eyes get big. The changes his whole demeanor. Then you're in position like that. You know, trust that training and whip that head around. He turns that head around, and not only does he not get a flag, but maybe even ends up with the football.
4 for 4 in the red zone of the game for North Carolina, with 3 TDs and a field goal. Brooks is the back. He won't get it. May throws it into the end zone and caught for the touchdown. Kamari Morales, TD, North Carolina. And Drake May with his first touchdown toss. A 4-yard play for the TD to Morales, James.
Nice play action pass, a nice play altogether. You know, the first look as he goes through his progressions, he double covered on his first option. So he dumps it right down to Kamari Morales, the sophomore from Lincoln High School over there near Tallahassee in Florida's Panhandle. Touchdown number 1 on the ground for Chris Well, number 1 through the air for Drake.
Local restaurants have been hit hard by fees from delivery apps.
They take a huge chunk of our bottom line. All of that comes out of our pocket and goes to them.
So Domino's franchisee.
First TD pass in a Carolina uniform for Drake May, getting congratulations from Sam Howell in the North Carolina jacket on the right. How about that drive? 7 minutes, 5 seconds, 84 yards. Morales has his 5th receiving TD of the season, and May found him from 4 yards away.
Yeah, 4th and short conversion there in the middle of it all by British Brooks to keep it going. And the youngsters getting some action, getting lathered up here today. They hadn't played a whole lot behind the big Sam Howell. We haven't had many situations. This is just Drake May's 3rd game, his first touchdown pass. Talking it over with the junior quarterback, who they hope will have healed up and be ready to go on Friday night against NC State.
All right, let's get a message from Works Nitro.
Meet Works Nitro. Powerful tools for any project with gas-like power without the gas. Fueled by PowerShare batteries to give you the power to outperform.
34-7 North Carolina, 55 seconds to go in our 3rd quarter. Tar Heels have been pretty dominant against the football championship subdivision since 1980. They're 27-1 against FCS opponents. That loss, 99 against Furman. Played Western Carolina last year, the only non-ACC opponent, and beat the Catamounts 49-9, last SoCon opponent for North Carolina. Should definitely mention that Wofford, in their last 23 games against the Football Bowl subdivision, James, 1-22, and that win at Louisiana Monroe in 2000 They won 24-6 under head coach Mike Ayers, the legendary head coach in Spartanburg, South Carolina at Wofford College. Mike Ayers was the head coach for 30 years at Wofford.
Michael Frazier, former teammate of mine at Sevier County High School in East Tennessee, was on that team. Wofford Terrier in his playing days. Good linebacker.
Josh Conklin, previously an assistant at Wofford from 07 to 09 before taking over the program 4 years ago. Nothing there. That's a big pile up at the 30 and a loss of 3. Ryan Ingram went down. Raymond Vohasek, 51.
Oh, come on. We got to see it. We got to see it. Hold on to it if we got to go. We got to go to break. But you guys, you better give us that shot when we come back.
34-7. End of the third. The Tar Heels out in front and in control. Sam Howell was unable to start at quarterback today. James, hasn't been a problem for the Tar Heels.
No, it hasn't, because they've gotten it done on the ground. Starting with Ty Chandler. He goes over a big mark, 1,000 yards for the season, 3,000 in his career. A lot of that back to his days as a Tennessee Volunteer. But after that, British Brooks has picked up, and the offensive line has done a good job.
A couple of rushing TDs for Brooks. Criswell took it in from a yard away also for a rushing TD, and that's been the name of the game for the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Wasn't it Paula Abdul that's saying, rush, rush, come on, Tar Heels, run to me. And there you see Ty Chandler back when he was doing his thing in the first quarter before he shut it down a little bit to rest up and get ready for the Pack on Friday night. But a nice start by Ty Chandler, and then British Brooks picks right up where he left off. And again, not only good blocking by that offensive line down the field, and that's how you make those big plays, by getting your outside guys blocking down the field. It was Antoine Green on his first touchdown run, Olsen on this second one, and British Brooks, after DJ Jones was injured, the backup running back in that first half. He's no more, but British Brooks also with the 4th down conversion, a big one on that last drive.
North Carolina came into this game second best rushing attack in the ACC, and they're proving why. And we thank you for watching the fourth, presented by CPI Security. Well, time now to check out our player comparison, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Yeah, and our two Hardy star to watch as we started this game with Sam Howell on the bench, and makes for an interesting sneak peek at what will be the quarterback competition in the spring. And Drake May still going here in the second half with a 4th quarter to go, but good-looking numbers for both these quarterbacks.
Derrick, complete. Holt, first down near the 45-yard line, up to the 47 for Alec Holt, the sophomore from Jacksonville, Florida, and 17 yards. Opening moments of our 4th quarter with North Carolina in front 34-7. Solid gain on first down. Walker to the North Carolina side of the 50 as we go down to Rebecca. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We'll get back to Rebecca in just a moment.
Josh Conklin told Rebecca at halftime that this is a team that won't give up. They continue to fight here on offense, and powering forward looks to be close to a first down. Let's try it again. Rebecca, you got us?
Yeah, guys, Peyton comes from a long line of quarterbacks. His father played quarterback in high school, but then came to Wofford and they had the wishbone offense, so he switched over to tight end. His brother played quarterback at Furman. So for the three of them, football has been the topic of conversation for as long as they can remember. And for Peyton, if it wasn't him, it was his brother, his dad. They talk about it all the time, what scheme or what happened on this play. So this is his last college football game. He doesn't know what he's going to talk about after that. Thanksgiving's coming up. Doesn't know what the conversation is going to be at Thanksgiving, but, playing quarterback, he doesn't know what he's going to do anymore without that family tie. So that's been the topic of conversation for most meals for that family.
I'll say, his offense getting a first down on the ground that time, Rebecca. And I guess when it's pretty much a done deal that you're going to be a football player, probably a quarterback, might as well give him a good quarterback name like Peyton, right? He runs a little bit better than Peyton Manning does, though, that's for sure.
Ooh, okay.
No, he does.
Sounds like the discussions around the Bates household around Thanksgiving. A lot of football talk. North Carolina is going to spend the day after Thanksgiving in Raleigh against NC State.
There's Rohasek. Again, Truck, I'm calling for that last play, please. Can we see it at some point? Because Ray Rohasek, there he is on another stop, but earlier he ran through a blocker and ran him right into the running back. He's had some big plays here in this game, his last home game as a Tar Heel. Here it is. All right, ask and you shall receive. Right there in the middle. Look at him walk his blocker. Boom! I mean, that's some impressive power by 51 right there. Stands his blocker, would-be blocker up, and right back into the lap of the running back.
Do you still get credit for the tackle if you force the Wofford player into his teammate and the ball carrier?
You should get double credit. Look at it. There it is again. Bam. I mean, that makes the strength coaches, that makes the whole strength staff proud right there. When you get one of your guys, it's just that pop and that power, and then use that leg drive. We're going to miss him around here.
Great work by our production team. 9th play of the drive coming up for Hassick. 6'3", 300 senior from McHenry, Illinois, playing his final game in the Tar Heel uniform. That is a first down. Walker to the 30-yard line. We got 6 on the play for Wofford. The lone TD for Wofford came in the second quarter. Kyle Penix, who's been in the game for 1 play, took it in from 3 yards away in a rushing TD for Penix.
Just marching on down the field, and we're patting Rohasek on the back, but it's too many times in these short yardage situations where they've had to have it. Wofford is figuring out a way to just get enough punch, move those chains, and hear another fresh set of downs.
Tar Heels do have an interception in the game from McMichael, their 11th of the season to lead the ACC. I think someone predicted an interception by the Tar Heels prior to the start of this game, James, even though Wofford hardly ever throws the ball.
Yeah,
I'm 2 for 2, baby.
But that's no. You're, okay, now listen. I give you a lot of credit for your Jahmyr Gibbs before the game, Georgia Tech last week. You said he's going to run a touchdown, a kickoff back for a touchdown,
98 yards.
Hey, and that's impressive. But that's almost like saying, Wofford's going to convert 50% of their third downs. It's
small victories.
Don't throw it a lot.
Small victories, James.
You did say it though. Yes, you did.
Terriers run it. Derrick, 20-yard line, and that should be good enough for a first down. 6 yards. Wofford doing a lot of good things during a season where they have struggled mightily at 1-9 and 0-8 in conference play.
So many injuries. And, even when Peyton Derrick was healthy, he missed a game. Got sick against Western Carolina. He just got the flu and had to miss a game that weekend. So it's been tough to keep these guys out there and to keep them healthy and keep them fighting. And as we mentioned earlier, this has been a winning football team the last couple of years prior to this season. Just 1 win on this year. Look out.
They got a touchdown here. This is Ingram to the end zone. 19 yards. That's a Terrier touchdown. Second TD on the ground in the game for the Terriers, and once again this drive goes almost 7 minutes. So Walker Gliarmis, whose father Lee was a kicker here at North Carolina in the mid-'80s, to add the extra point with 9:04 on the game clock. Walker Gliarmis, extra point. James Ryan Ingram, 19 yards.
Yeah, on the right side of that line, a couple South Carolina kids leading the way, and Gardner and Greenlee to pave the way for another touchdown for the Terriers.
We're all motivated.
Next week on most of these ACC stations, the Miami Hurricanes coming to Durham to face the Duke Blue Devils. Coverage begins 12:30 Eastern. You want to check your local listings for the game and time in your area. It was a big shutout win for Miami last year during the 2020 season in Durham, and Miami leads the overall series 14-4. Duke lost on Thursday. That was a loss at home against Louisville. And Miami also in action today. That's at 7:30 tonight. They host Virginia Tech. Some changes for Virginia Tech as well.
Did you see the story on Trey Turner, the receiver for Virginia Tech?
Yes, the long drive down to Miami Gardens.
An upper respiratory condition. They didn't want him flying, but he could play football, so they drove him down.
And I'll give you something else.
Okay.
You know, one of the big reasons he wanted to go, he's wearing the number 25 this week as well for the legendary coach, Frank Beamer. That special number that a player gets to wear each week for Virginia Tech. So, yes, made the drive down in that game later, and you'll see Miami and Duke coming up next Saturday. Our season finale. Bates, we made it through 3 years almost. Not too bad.
Well, slow down, we're not there yet.
As I said, almost. Almost. Couldn't do it without the incredible support staff, technical and production crew. On site this week in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the Tar Heels approaching 300 yards rushing. Look at the Terriers. That's pretty much right on their average for the season rushing, and they're doing it against the Football Bowl subdivision team in North Carolina. It's going to be a timeout on the field taken by the Tar Heels. 9:04 to go in the fourth quarter. First significant action of the season for Drake May, seeing play in his third game this year. 34-14. The Tar Heels leading Wofford.
So should all RIT move to the cloud?
The cloud would...
Time now to take a look back at the drive of the game, brought to you by Land Rover as the Tar Heels set the tone early.
Yeah, got to go way back. The opening drive. Garrett Walston getting it started through the air. Jacoby Criswell, who got the start today on the ground. And Ty Chandler, a big drive, and capping it off was number 6, the sophomore out of Arkansas. Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year as a senior. And took 10 plays, 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
.904 to go in the fourth. Brooks is the leading rusher with 86 yards. Chandler has 78, and Criswell with 66 in the rushing TD. And Brooks has found the end zone twice in our game from 38 and 14 yards away. Rushing TDs number 2 and 3 this season for British Brooks. Elijah Green, freshman from Roswell, Georgia.
British Brooks had his day. 6 carries, 86 yards, the 2 touchdowns, averaging over 14 yards a touch. And here's the new kid on the block.
Green. Six yards. Michael Mason made the stop for the Terriers on Green. Drake May has that 4-yard TD pass to Kamari Morales with his 5th receiving TD of the season. First career TD pass for Drake May. Modest gain, if any, on the play. We'll give him 2. Inside of 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Elijah Green hitting that hole hard. He's getting hit hard as he reaches that line of scrimmage. Wofford defense that continues to stick in there and fight. And here's a 4th down and 1. It looks like North Carolina will keep them in there. Try to go for it here. Got to be careful to stay onside. Wofford will use a timeout. They're first here the second half.
We will also take the timeout. Step aside for just a moment with the Tar Heels in control on Senior Day in Chapel Hill. Hey, happy holidays!
CMAX presents The Cycle of Savings. It all starts with a proprietary formula that is scientifically proven to soak
time. The lead now 34-14 as we play in the fourth. And our game summary, James Bates.
Well, there you have it. 3rd downs, Wofford converting on 5 of 11. North Carolina 4 of 8. And still that yards per play for North Carolina. Impressive. Some big plays mixed in there. Up near 8 yards a play. And nice amount of balance for a team in North Carolina. They, don't have to sling it all around. They've had some success on the ground. And you don't expect much balance out of the Wofford offensive attack, a running football team. But here's this 4th down and 1. A little bit of interesting drama here with 7:24 left.
Interesting formation as well. Some window dressing, eye candy. And now they're 2 for 2 on 4th down. They got 3 yards. British Brooks gets it done.
Second time on 4th and short. They put the ball in the hands of number 24. And second time where it looks interesting right off the bat, but then the leg drive. Not just all by his lonesome this time, British Brooks, but the offensive line continues that surge.
Clock continues to roll. North Carolina will be bowl eligible with this victory. Mack Brown will get his 265th all-time win, 33 years as a head coach. 90th win as the head coach of North Carolina. Caleb Hood, that last play. Coach Brown said, ultra important. Let's go to a bowl game for the 3rd straight year. Is it the Orange Bowl from last year? No, James, but it is still an accomplishment as May handles up near midfield. That's enough for a 1st down.
Well, and it's not the team. And a lot of people, there were high hopes by a lot of people. And Mack Brown will tell you, on the outside especially, for this North Carolina team, you got Sam Howell coming back, but you lose so many points, so many yards on offense. De'Ami Brown, Daz Newsome, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. You don't just replace those guys and fill in the blanks.
Long pass, fight for the ball, down at the 5. Wow! J.J. Jones, if you please. 46 yards as he beat Donovan Anderson.
Well, that ball's there. Anderson is there as well. Right in stride. He goes back over that outside shoulder, but never losing focus and concentration on that rock. J.J. Jones, even with the hands all over him. What a catch.
Close to the goal line for Hood. Might be at the 1 or so. They got 4.
What a catch.
It's quite a hand fight there, and won by J.J. Jones.
Jones, 6'2", 200, just a freshman. That's 2 guys with their hands on each other, so it's a good no flag there. Fighting for it, and there's the reaction from Drake May. That'll do. That'll get us down there knocking on the door, trying to punch it in here on 2nd and goal.
May the handoff. Hood the carry, and he will not get there. All right. 3rd and goal. Thought for sure he was getting in the end zone, James.
Yeah, good fight. We had to stand him up there by that defensive front. The penetration there you see, and a good call right down the line. A good look at it. Didn't cross the plane.
Chuck Smith in on the stop. 97 for Wofford. Trying to turn back Carolina at the doorstep. They've done it again on 3rd and goal.
Similar look to that 4th and 1 that they converted earlier. Chuck Smith in there. The sophomore from Suwanee, Georgia. The son of Chuck Smith, the great defensive end for the Tennessee Vols. And 2nd round draft pick. Played for the Falcons in Charlotte. Wow. 4th down and goal. Wofford making it interesting. Trying to make them earn this touchdown. And we'll get a timeout.
Terriers take the timeout. And before we witness this 4th down play from the goal line for North Carolina, we'll step aside. 34-14, Tar Heels.
As governor.
Quarter by quarter, 34-14, North Carolina. Game they were certainly expected to win and become bowl eligible. While we have a moment,
here we go.
Let's look across the national landscape, James, and keep in mind the last game of the season for Georgia at Georgia Tech. Just saying.
That's right, and a couple of those top teams putting the hammer to some opponents today. Ohio State's opponent a little bit better than Georgia's. Georgia's beating up on Charleston Southern right now 56-7. But how about this whooping? The Buckeyes are putting on the Spartans there in the Horseshoe in the 3rd quarter, 49-0. Clemson still on top of Wake Forest in the 3rd quarter. Georgia Tech and Notre Dame getting going. And you know, you look up, and this is before rivalry weekend. We'll get a Michigan-Ohio State game next weekend. You mentioned Georgia playing Georgia Tech, Auburn, Alabama, right after Thanksgiving. Great time to be alive.
Only loss for Wake prior to today in their game against Clemson against North Carolina, November 6th, 58-55. Last 2 years, the teams have combined for 225 points. All right, here we go.
4th and goal. Here we go.
Bates, you got this one? Off of the play fake. There are penalty markers, and May gets rocked out of bounds. Is that the play you were looking for, James?
Well, it's an interesting play call because everybody in the house thinking that they're going to run it right up the middle and try to hit them hard with the play action fake. And this looks like it's going to be in coverage against Wofford. Maybe some defensive backs thinking the same thing. And helping them out. Wow. Just when you think you got a goal line stand.
This might be the smallest penalty in the history of Keenan Memorial Stadium.
And it's a good call. I mean, there you see right there at the bottom of your screen, trying to slip out Morales, trying to get him one more touchdown on the year. Just everybody biting hard, so yeah, it is the right call. The penalty flag shows it. They weren't ready for it.
1st and goal, North Carolina. That is Hood. Okay, so Wofford.
Yeah, it's a fresh.
If there was a penalty on the previous play. So, just trying to clarify the down. The holding penalty in the end zone was not an automatic 1st down.
Well, the hold was immediately off the snap as he's trying to come out of the backfield. And they took it halfway to the goal, but kept it 4th down. And so a goal line stand for Wofford. And, and Josh Conklin, he told Rebecca at halftime that this team will continue to fight to the very end, and they've certainly done that. I mean, not once have they just given up, and that's after that big play, the big catch by J.J. Jones to get him down there. And they get down there, line it up, and fight. They fight even through the penalty, get it back into the hands of the offense.
Okay, Wofford football. So Wofford with a goal line stand on what was a 4th down play from the half-yard line. This is the play prior to that.
Okay, and there's the hold.
Right.
And it's not on 88. A bigger part was on Will Crowley was the player being held as he tried to come out of the backfield.
We're checking into the process.
3rd down and 2 here for Derek and the offense.
And now just 2 minutes to go in the 4th. That play never develops. Plenty of whistles.
Well, Conklin went running down the sideline.
Timeout, Wofford. The 3rd and final. 30-second timeout.
Didn't like what he saw. And that shows, too. It's not only a football team, but it's a coach that here in their last game of this 2021 season going to fight all the way to that final whistle, use up all those timeouts. Not just be content to go rolling on home at 34-14. Got a long way to go. That ball sits just over the 10-yard line, their own 10-yard line. Trying to get some of those guys healthy in the offseason and have a normal offseason and get back to those winning ways, back to some SoCon championships, 8-9 win seasons like they're used to the last few years. They're at Wofford.
So, James, just a clarification on that holding. You must throw the football to have it produce an automatic 1st down. It's a good clarification.
Yeah.
Because May did not throw the ball. However, there was a penalty against Wofford, but it kept 4th down intact because the ball was not released by May on the scramble. So here's the play again. It's a great clarification. Good work by our production truck to get the clarification. There's a hold in the end zone.
Well, and again, you know, these.
Can I say that rule should be revisited?
Well, it's. I mean, it's.
Can I just put that out there?
It's a great point, but it. Regardless, to turn around for Wofford and to play another down, and here got another chance at it, 4th and 2 of their own, and they do convert.
Walker gets it for Wofford. If you commit a sorry. If you commit a penalty in the end zone, regardless of, we got the clarification, you must release the football. Of course, May, it's not his fault. Yeah. He's trying to run to the end zone. But the flags came out as he was being forced out of bounds as well, as he was looking into the end zone, but just did not release the football. So, interesting.
Well, it's no Ty Chandler after the first quarter, and even no more British Brooks, who was the 3rd string guy in there. Wofford continues to roll it on down, but in these trenches, in these key situations on Friday night, it's going to be a little bit tougher than it was against Wofford right here. They're going to have to play a more complete game and a more physical game if they want to beat the rivals on Friday night, especially in those type situations, those who wants it more type situations.
NC State last regular season game next Friday for North Carolina, the 111th meeting against their rivals from Raleigh. And now just 14 seconds on the clock. North Carolina, which won the Military Bowl, James, in 2019, to the Orange Bowl last season. New Year's Day, a loss to Texas A&M, and for the 3rd straight year, bowl eligible for Coach Brown and the Tar Heels. 3 for 3 for Coach Brown for the postseason.
And a chance, even though they've lost a couple there in the middle of the season, they really weren't expecting to. And the first one, too, at Virginia Tech, still a chance to finish this season with 8 wins.
Walker out of bounds. Just a few ticks left as North Carolina will improve to 6-5. They'll go to 6-1 at home. They were 5-1 at home a season ago, and 3-3 at home in 2019 in Coach Brown's first year, 2nd stint. This is 13th year as the North Carolina head coach. Just 7 seconds to go. Wofford will finish up its season at 1-10. In fact, they won their very first game of the year. That was against Elon, 24-22. Over the middle and complete. But that will be the final play of the game, 34-14. North Carolina is bowl eligible, and they send the seniors and the grad students and Sam Howell off in the proper way with a victory for Mack Brown, career win number 265.
Josh Conklin hasn't been around Mack Brown much in his coaching career as much as Mack Brown has been around the game of college football. So first taste to coach across the field against Mack Brown here as a head coach, and brings his team in. And just like he promised, they fought to the very end. But as the dust settles, it's a 20-point win for the Tar Heels to move to win number 6, bowl eligible, which is huge for a team trying to develop some young players, some young quarterbacks in there, in Criswell and Drake May. 13 extra practices, so they'll get that when it comes to an end. But a win nonetheless here on Senior Day. Let's get it down to Rebecca, who's with Coach Mack Brown.
Well, Coach, you get the win for your seniors on Senior Day, and you now become bowl eligible. What does this win mean for your team?
Rebecca, both of those things are really important. We said we wanted our seniors to go out in a good fashion because they will never play in this stadium again. We wanted to be bowl eligible. They weren't the last 2 years before we got here. Now these seniors will be bowl eligible for 3 straight years now, and we got to play a whole lot of young guys, and that's a hard team to play because they're an option team, and we don't see the option. Hard to work on the option the week before you're playing NC State. So I was proud of our guys.
You mentioned the young guys. We got to see 2 young quarterbacks. What's your thoughts on the way that they played today?
Thought both did a good job. They haven't played because we've been in so many tight games, and that's why this is such a blessing, because they're our guys for next year. So I thought both of them did a really good job. Learning experience for them, and if they don't play again between now and the end of the season, this will be the experience they have going into the opening game.
Well, Coach, I can just see your smile radiating. What is your level of pride right now for this team as they head to play NC State?
It's really strong because I'm so proud of them. They fight every week. They try every week. It's been an up and down season. It's been crazy across the country. Rebecca, some have been outliers on the upper end. Some teams have really struggled. The rest of us are in the middle. So you better fight and do everything you can do to find a win.
That's right, Coach. Well, congratulations. Go enjoy this one.
Thank you.
Tom?
Rebecca, thank you. You can hear the emotion in the voice of Mack Brown. And by the way, they've beaten NC State the last 2 years in a row since the return of Coach Brown to Chapel Hill. And once again, 34-14 is the final. North Carolina is bowl eligible on Senior Day. So we'll take a quick timeout, come back for more from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where the Tar Heels defeat the Terriers.
Georgia Natural Gas.
They are ringing the victory bell here in Chapel Hill at Kenan Stadium. Won it for the 3rd year against Duke this year. And Coach Brown salutes the crowd that turned out for Senior Day, and that's how you send them off right, Bates. 34-14 is the win for North Carolina. Now, we certainly expected the Tar Heels to win the game. Sam Howell he had his jersey on. He wasn't available to play today, but the backup guys, the younger guys, they got some reps today as well, and that's very valuable.
Very valuable. And like Coach Mack Brown said to Rebecca after the game, this may be the last we see of them here this year. So this will be a little boost into the spring, the competition here in the offseason and leading up until next year, because one of these 2 guys right here, Jacoby Criswell, who played in his 4th game of the season here today, completed a few more passes after he entered the game. 2 of 2 and 1 touchdown back against Georgia State. He completed those. And Drake May playing in his 3rd game of the season. So that'll be your battle in the offseason as this team 99.9% says goodbye to Sam Howell, who will be a first-round draft pick. And, interesting, as this game comes to a close, win number 6 for North Carolina, Tom, we come back from break. with that victory bell ringing. That, of course, a win over Duke, a win over Wake Forest, a big one, a top 10 team, and a chance at NC State champions. You know, maybe not the championship they were thinking of at the beginning of the season, ranked 10th in the nation. But here we go. On the ground is how it got started. Jacoby Criswell back on that opening drive. That was a nice balanced drive to punch it in. It was the touchdown, Atkins field goal to back it up, and it was 10-0 after the first quarter. Into the second quarter, and Peyton Derrick, playing his last game, the senior for Wofford, has been banged up a little bit here this year, and Kyle Penix comes in. One snap, one score. How about that?
That's pretty good percentage.
1,000, right?
From 3 yards out, he dances into the end zone, and Wofford had the ground game going, but so did North Carolina with British Brooks. 7 carries, 89 yards, career high, and a couple of TD runs. That from 38 yards away.
Throw another shrimp on the Barbie, eh? Atkins with another field goal. He was 2 for 2 here today, kicking the field goal. Special teams have been pretty good for this North Carolina squad here throughout the year. Drake May getting his shot. The freshman and the running backs helping to balance things out and put that defense on their heels a little bit. And here's his first touchdown pass as a Tar Heel.
So North Carolina into the fourth and in command. And don't forget Ty Chandler also went over 1,000 yards rushing for the season. The second rushing TD of the game for the Wofford Terriers as Ingram takes it into the end zone. But in the end, it's North Carolina with its 6th win of the season. That's bowl eligibility for the Tar Heels. And you heard Coach Brown mention the close calls. The game at Pitt. The game against Miami, which was a victory. The game against Wake Forest, which was incredible, 58-55. So maybe not the season they envisioned after the first week of the season when they went to Virginia Tech and lost a close, hard-fought game there. But in the end, you're going to a bowl game for the 3rd straight year, and this program certainly on an upward trajectory under Mack Brown, 2nd stint in his 3rd year.
And I think that starts with the players, and we're seeing some of these young players out there right now, and that's what I think the outside world kind of forgets. It's like, you know, a team like an Alabama and even like a Georgia now, they've got that next wave just waiting in the wings to fill in the gaps. But when you lose the 4 studs that Carolina lost on offense this year, you don't just replace them. Mack Brown hasn't been here that long. He's been recruiting good, but not for that long. They're not that deep, and they don't have the studs that are just going to, hey, step right in and not skip a beat. So a lot of people forgot that. Ranked 10th in the nation coming in. You know, he said we're about right now, we're maybe a little bit better than middle of the pack type of team, but they need to finish this season strong and maybe get it to 8 wins on the year if they can.
He's been here long enough to win 90 games as the head coach of the Tar Heels, and that, of course, is a school record, and they are, I heard the victory bell again.
Yeah.
So the victory bell is ringing.
That's what you do when you got it, you ring it.
6-5 on the season, bowl eligibility, and the win for North Carolina. Once again, the final, 34-14 in the first ever meeting with the Wofford Terriers. If you want to join us next week, most of these ACC stations, Duke Blue Devils host the Miami Hurricanes at 12:30. Check your local listings. For James Bates, Rebecca Fiorentino, and the rest of our outstanding production team, I'm Tom Wormy, saying good day from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
In America, the